Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 2 of What If Naruto Returned Different with a Yin-Yang Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, if you're new, yes, I need to have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3. Which I post What If on every single day. Yes, you heard that correctly. Every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, and also remember to turn on that bell notification stay posted because, as I said, I post every day for you guys to enjoy so you can see when I post. So without further ado, with this to begin this new episode, start the intro. So the last time we left off, Tsunade noticed something was terribly wrong with Naruto. Upon returning, he was different. The way he acted, the way he spoke, there was just something. But the icing on the cake was when Sakura tried to hit him, and he shoved her thing on her face. He stopped it though, before it could actually hit her, as he warned her that he would not be taking any more of that from her. Becoming a teacher of Sakura for the past few years, Tsunade had come to see her as a daughter, so she didn't like that one bit. And Naruto said that he was already interested in someone else. No, that was a surprise. She asked him, but he refused to tell her anything. He also refused to be partnered with Sakura while they fought Kakashi. He wanted to fight him alone. Tsunade decided to oblige him to see how far he has come. But the more problematic thing was, it turns out that Naruto left on the training trip, and his name was crossed off the summons. That meant he signed another clan, another summon clan. Jiraiya pride, as a Sanin, would not let him come back and say that he lost Naruto so that he would search by himself. And Naruto knew that it was the case, so he used that against Jiraiya. So for the past few years, he has been by himself, doing God knows what, and no one really knew what was going on. He met Jiraiya right at the gate, at the specific time, so he would not be able to ask him any questions, and even if he did, he just shrugged them off, as he knew that Jiraiya didn't want to look embarrassed. Now this got Tsunade bothered. When the time finally came, as she invited the others to question them on Naruto's personality if they seen anything real different. As they arrived, it turns out that Neji knew about the foxing side of Naruto. His discovery from Chunin exams, he had done his research. As the fight started out with him and Kakashi, it started out rather fast paced, as Naruto warned him to use the Sharingan, otherwise he would not be blamed for what happened. So they indeed fought. As they fought, Kakashi was surprised, as he was being outwitted and outpaced by Naruto in Taijutsu, in Genjutsu, in Ninjutsu. This was a whole different Naruto. But the thing became problematic when Naruto hurled a Rasen Shuriken towards him. Kakashi was forced to use the Kamui, as Naruto hurled another to make him use it again to kill himself, but surprisingly he was able to use it once again. The traps didn't let him off so good though, as Tsunade had to heal him, otherwise he would have died. People started to distance themselves from Naruto, expecting him to come and apologize, but Naruto would do no such thing. It turns out that he despised and hated Konoha. Something happened to him while he was on that training trip, as he wanted to kill Kakashi. But there was a lot that has happened. For one, he was gathering forces, Neji being one of them that was already on his side. The other one was Yakumo, as he felt so horrible, seeing that he just thought of her when he wanted to use her, as he was being like the hypocrites within Konoha. So he was able to regain her trust, not to mention, he was able to use his bloodline to cure her. Her body was not physically able to go very long, but it was her genjutsu that was dangerous. But Naruto was able to take care of that by using his Yin-Yang bloodline. which he had developed over the years of training. As Naruto was a completely different person, they might think he was the same, but he was not. It turns out that Gari got captured, and he was surprised that they were letting him go. But he knew what it was really for Sakura and Kakashi to keep an eye on him. When the time came for them to split, Naruto refused to go with Kakashi, seeing that it would be best for one of them to go with a medic, so Sakura was forced to go with Kakashi. As Naruto stayed behind with Chiyo, decided not to reveal too much. Chiyo attached her strings to him as they fought. They dodged all of Sasori's weapons. Sasori got destroyed rather quickly by Naruto using her Rasengan, as Chiyo used that to her advantage. It was then that she pulled out her 10 puppets, but Sasori decided to, well, mock her with his 100 puppets, showing the both of them that they were out of their league. But Naruto stood there calmly as he didn't even see it as a threat. So yeah guys, so basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the playstick of yourself, and yeah, remember to go ahead and turn on that bell notification to stay posted and share this with all of your friends. So without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Let's get right into it guys. Red secret technique. Performance of 100 puppets, Sasori said. This is impossible, Sasori said Chiyo, with a surprised expression. Chobachan, do you not comprehend the immense gap between our abilities? You have replicated the ability mastered by only one in the history of Puppeteer, but I have achieved a feat that is 10 times greater than what you've used. This is the beginning of your despair. I will strip you of all hope until you become nothing but an empty, useless vessel, just like a puppet without any strings. This should be impossible. No, it is impossible to create that much many chakra strings, not to mention the mental fortitude and flexibility that is required to control 100 puppets. Chobachan, what seemed to be the matter? You don't seem like yourself all of a sudden, said Naruto. She is unable to comprehend the reality that is staring her right back in the eye. That someone so young was able to achieve something that she could never hope to achieve even in 3,000 years. Essentially, this could be equated to a physical and mental condition one experience when they are forced to confront all their failures and despair in life. If you would rather think about it as a life crisis, said Sasori. So you're saying that no one in the history has ever been able to create so many chakra strings, and controlling so much puppet should be physically and mentally impossible, said Naruto. That's about the gist of it, yes, said Sasori. He's very good at reading body language and bad situations, if he was able to gather that information so quickly. Even earlier, he was able to read Chobachan's intentions without even her telling him a single word. I will have to pay more attention to him. He's an enigma and a variable that is not fully counted in this battle. There's also the chance he could go berserk and release a Kyuubi, Sasori thought to himself as he watched Naruto carefully. Naruto, Chiyo said in a worried tone and serious as well. Yes, Chobachan, said Naruto. I'm afraid that you're gonna have to stay back this time. I won't be able to control your movements and 10 puppets at the same time. Allow this old granny to take over this time. I understand, but as Naruto created 50 clones, I can create a lot more of these, but there's not enough space in the cave for that. Nevertheless, I will heed your warning and stay back. But there's no reason for us to limit ourselves to 10 puppets. My shadow clones can fight, while I stay at a safe distance, just like you with your puppets. Also, I don't need chakra threads to control them. I also believe they will be of great help to you, Chobachan. I see, she said, as she got the hint. He intends to have some of his shadow clones act as backup and protection for my puppets, while I go on the offense. Also, if I lose a puppet, I can take control of his clone and use it as a backup. This child, he's really one of a kind, she thought. As she smirked. Good job, Naruto-chan. There's no need to drag this out. Let's end it nice and quickly, okay? Of course, said Naruto. I wouldn't have it any other way. Chiyo sent their puppets sailing forward as Naruto clone battalion moved into battle. The battle only lasted 8 minutes. Sasori puppets were indeed formidable, and the skill that he used to control all of his 100 puppets were rather impressive. So much so that half his puppets were gone, but all of their puppets and Naruto clones were destroyed. But Naruto was able to create 60 more clones, and Chiyo took 10 of them as she put them under her control. As Sasori realized that he was getting overrun, so he used the puppet art to take over some of Naruto clones forcefully and use them against the other. However, Naruto simply dispelled them. For any other shinobi, it would have been impossible to find out because the threads were not seeable. But the thing was, Naruto was one of the best, the literal best chakra sensors in the world. There was no one else like him. Because of this ability, he was able to differentiate between the ones that Sasori tried to take over and the ones that Lady Chiyo was using. In the end, his puppet army was defeated as 4 clones of Naruto remained. The clones did not hesitate as they moved forward, increasing their vigor and strategy. As Sasori was blindsided when he dispelled one of the clones as the other 2 came in as they used the first one as a distraction, a Rasengan forming in both of their hands instantaneously. But Sasori used chakra threads and have the both of them slam their Rasengan into each other, forcing them to dispel. But the 4th clone was already airborne. As he formed a giant Rasengan, he was dropping from the heavens. He was shooting directly down towards Sasori. But Sasori lashed out his threads as he attached the wall. He pulled himself over towards the wall. He quickly attached one of his threads to one of the blades and launched it right towards the clone as he was falling. The clone was dispelled before the Rasengan could connect with the earth and destroy the whole cave. Unbelievable. His movements and agilities should be impossible for any normal human. Sasori, what else have you been doing to your body other than de-aging yourself? Chiyo thought, as she was finding it hard to believe the level of mastery her grandson had reached without her help, a level beyond any of her predecessors. If only he had not turned into a traitor. As she wondered, how would things turn out with Sasori on the sand side, especially after the loss of the 3rd Kazekage? On the other hand, Sasori's eyes were focused on Naruto. This kid is quite fast, just as fast as Itachi and Leader Sama. His clone technique combination is out of this world. If it wasn't for my body and special modifications, I would have been defeated a long time ago. That was quite an interesting strategy, Kyuubi. You must have worked hard and long on your combination strategies. I can't imagine how much simulations it must have taken to get your clones to perform such simulation attacks. It seems that they have a battle plan for every single scenario, whether it be 1 against 5, or 1 against 50, or 1 against 100. Very few people prepare themselves for 1 against an army. It is quite interesting to see that your clones are able to do that. My 100 clone army has never been defeated before now. Did you know that I once took over our entire nation with those puppets? Said Sasori with pride, as he boasted himself. I know I should be surprised, but having first-hand witness and see what you're capable of, I'm not really that surprised. I can see how you can do something like that with enough preparation and a good battle strategy, especially with the element of surprise that you would have. After all, who could expect a single individual to challenge an entire nation? As the 2 rivals share a respect for each other's skills, much to the surprise of Chiyo. Uzumaki Naruto, you're indeed quite an intriguing child. You've certainly caught my attention. However, it's about time I capture you. It is such a pity that I have to kill you. Someone who resembles so much of my younger self. Perhaps in a different world, we could have been good friends. Sasori said with a subdued tone as he dropped a scroll from his sleeve, one with a kanji for 3 on it. Friends. You don't strike me as one that would value a good friendship. I can't imagine you trusting someone in your back, especially seeing that you hide most inside Hiroko, even when you're with your partner Deidara. As Naruto narrowed his eyes toward the scroll that Sasori held onto. Another scroll, huh? I thought the army of puppets was his greatest technique. I should have known that he had something else up his sleeve. Shinobi code dictate that we must lie, cheat, deceive, and betray each other to achieve our goals. Therefore, there is nothing to do with friendship there, said Sasori. I suppose you're right, somewhere in there, said Naruto. I don't like the way you think, but there is some level of truth to it, he said. What's happening, Chiyo thought. Why are these 2 having a heart-to-heart conversation in the middle of a battle? Is this the power that the White Fang's son spoke of? Is this how Naruto-chan changed Gaara? Judging by the expressions on your face after hearing my words, it seems like Itachi was completely wrong when he gave us a profile on you. You're completely different than I thought. In any case, it was nice knowing you, Uzumaki Naruto. Poof! as he released whatever was inside that scroll. As Naruto saw the scroll, release a puppet. Another puppet, huh? Sasori, what have you done? How could you, Chiyo said. Her face looking on her grandson with pure shock. Chobachan, I bet I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that you should have never taught me any of these puppet techniques to begin with. I know that the death of your parents affected you. I know that the innocence that you had was lost on that day. I taught you, puppeteer, to give you a better future. I taught you so that you could one day have the power to protect your family. So that you can be a hero of the sand, Sasori. I never imagined you would become so evil, she said. As the woman cried, the first time that she shed a tear in the past 20 plus years. People are so judgmental and shallow. Human beings are such hypocrites. It's unbelievable. But I suppose it goes without saying. Having lived the life of a Jinjuke, you should understand me, right, Naruto? Actually, I'm not really sure what is happening. What's the big deal with that puppet anyway, Naruto asks, as he quirked the eyebrow. Naruto-chan, don't let your guard down. Not for a split second. That's a puppet, made from the third Kazekage corpse. He was the strongest of all 5 Kazekages. He had the ability to manipulate a powerful magnetic field, and he used that ability to create a powerful King Jutsu, the Iron Sand technique. What? Said Naruto. You mean he was the one that was responsible for the third Kazekage disappearance all those years ago, and he can use his powers through his human puppet technique? Naruto said in surprise. I'm not sure. The last time we spoke about it, Sasori had not mastered that technique. But in theory, yes. He's supposed to have access to all of the third powers, said Chiyo. Incredible, said Naruto. This jutsu is almost in the same league as the second Hokage Edo Tensei. Huh, you seem more than a little impressed by my jutsu. I can't say I'm not flattered. Tell you what, Naruto, since I like you so much, I'll let you join my collection. I've been meaning to get myself a close combat powerhouse for a puppet. I can already think of many ways to use that Rasengan technique of yours, in different variations. Sasori said with pride and confidence, like his victory was already guaranteed. Sasori, how could you do this? All this time you were the one that took away our Kazekage. He was a great man. How could you defile his body and legacy like that? And now you want to do the same to Naruto-chan. I will not allow it, said Chiyo. The third Kazekage, a great man. Huh, give me a break. As Sasori shot the other two because his outburst was rather loud. I did everything I could for that village. The ability to create human puppets would have revolutionized not only the puppet brigade, but the Sand military powers as a whole. We would have been at the top of the food chain if it was for my efforts. Think about all the Keigenkai that we could have gathered. Think about all the village other techniques that we could have gathered and placed in our forces. Can you imagine the Sharingan, the Byakugan, the Hayutan, shadow manipulation, and the list goes on and on. Not only would I have been powerful enough to become the 4th Kazekage, I would have also been able to protect the entire sand from destruction. I would have been able to protect my family, he said. This power was not only for me, I was not selfish with it either. I wanted to handpick 3 students of mine the moment I took the seat of Kazekage that I could entrust the future of the sand and share my secrets with. I presented all of this to the third, and what did he do? What did I get for all my efforts, Sasori said. That man was just a bigot who only cares about himself and his own status. He didn't like the idea of someone surpassing him. He was only concerned with the praise and everything he got from holding the title as Kazekage. He didn't really care about the sand, or at least he only cared about it as long as he was at the center of its affection. He was insecure about his standing. Therefore, he launched a public campaign about my techniques, declaring my jutsu a forbidden technique that dishonor the dead and saying that the sand will never stoop to such a low. Really? The hypocrisy! A hidden village that has done so much chaos and destruction, now gained in morality because of my art. I became a goddamn prisoner in my own home. As suspect, envoys were assigned to watch my every goddamn movement day by day. I was banned from ever experimenting with another corpse under the penalty of death. Missions outside the village was no longer presented to me, and every time I wanted to pursue another puppet, I had to report to that goddamn Kazakage. I wasn't a shinobi nor was I a citizen. I was a prisoner in my own home, he said. As his tone started to soften, but it was still filled with hate. The rest of the village followed in the Kazakage footstep, as they saw me as nothing but an abomination, despising my very well-being. I tried my best to make them see the real me, but all I got was more scorn, more humiliation. It was then I was forced to come face to face with reality, and I decided I would get my vengeance. I would start with the one that started it all. So I killed the Kazakage and turned him into the very thing that he feared. Next was the San. I made sure to release the information about his disappearance. I know that the other nations would seek to destroy the San in a moment of weakness. Thus the sparks caught fire and began the third Great Shinobi War. The chaos and destruction of the war was the best way for me to plant spies in the entire elemental nations, and thus created the largest spy network ever. I later joined the Akatsuki, an organization that had use for my services, who appreciate my services and my talents. I am a part of something far greater than the San will ever be, Sasori said. This guy is just a victim of the third Kazakage cruelty and manipulations. He and I are not so different after all. Nor is the third Hokage or the third Kazakage that different either, Naruto thought. Sasori, I knew the Kazakage very well. He was a charismatic, caring man who loved the San very much, more than anything. Do you have any idea how much sacrifices that man has made for the betterment of the San? I can't possibly believe anything that comes out of your mouth right now. And that still does not excuse your behavior. What you and the Akatsuki are doing is just wrong, said Chiyo. It doesn't matter, said Sasori. You can remain in your ignorant shell for the next few minutes, because you will die. I'm done talking. With a flick of his finger, the metals all over the cave, they broke down as they broke into particles, twisting and turning, creating the magnetic release. As multiple iron needles were created, this Yin, as he launched them 3 times the speed that Haruko releases Senmons. Chiyo quickly summoned 2 puppets, one with brown hair, another with red hair, as she knew that her body would not be able to dodge all those sand needles as they deflected all of them, some of them hitting the wall. As Sasori had released all of the iron sand from the Kazakage puppet. Those puppets, how devious of you, using my own parents against me. Is this your idea of psychological warfare? Then you should know, it's not gonna work. Let me show you what I mean, he said. Sasori uses control. The third Kazakage magnetic release to dislodge the weapons on his mother and father arms, as it shredded them to pieces within seconds. As Chiyo was not fast enough to react. Now die, said Sasori, as he launched several more needles towards Chiyo, at even faster speeds. As Chiyo stood there, she saw them coming. They were coming from all directions. She had no way of dodging this. There was just too much of them. I suppose this is the end. In the end, mine was a life that was full of failure, regrets, and no achievements. Naruto-chan, I'm so sorry. I couldn't even protect you from my own grandson, she thought. A few tears slipping from her eyes, as she felt the cold embrace of death, as she closed her eyes. But she felt nothing. What is this? Am I still alive? Or am I dead, she asked in confusion, as she slowly opened her eyes. She had expected to feel some pain before she passed on to the afterlife. Also, given the things that she'd done, she thought that she would end up in the cold, fiery hells. But no, this feeling, she felt warm and protected, like some majestic blanket was keeping her safe. Are you alright, Chobachan? Her eyes snapped open as she focused. Naruto-chan, what is this, she asked, as she glanced towards massive golden chains that surrounded her. The spaces in between the chains were filled with a strange, transparent barrier that deflected all of Sasori techniques. All the chains were coming from Naruto's back. That jutsu, thought Sasori in surprise. This is my chakra chain barrier technique. It is a kinjutsu of the Uzumaki clan. They can only be learned by people with Uzumaki lineage. You mean a bloodline limit technique, she asks. Yes, a bloodline limit technique. So, you are an Uzumaki. As Naruto glanced towards Sasori, I was under the impression that you were a fake. Your physical appearance, mainly your hair color, do not resemble a Uzumaki at all. Sure, you have a strong chakra, but that could be easily thought about because of your Jinchuriki status. And up until now, you have not displayed any knowledge of barrier or sealing techniques. You are really an enigma. Up until now, you just keep on surprising me more and more. I can't wait to see the secrets your corpse will reveal to me. I have to agree with him on that one. I also thought that you were a fake. After all, the power in the name alone had enough weight to scare other nations. I just thought that Konoha held on to it to intimidate their enemies. Chiyo said from inside the chakra barrier. So everyone thought I was a fake. No wonder why every enemy laughed at me when I told them who I am, Naruto thought. As he found it absurd that he was being underestimated all this time, because everyone thought that he was a fake. I've heard about this jutsu before. It was Kushina Uzumaki trademark technique. Does that mean that she's your mother? Sasori asked. I've never heard of this technique before. This is the first time I've seen or heard of it, said Chiyo, almost refusing Sasori claims, or perhaps she was a bit fed up and embarrassed that she didn't know anything what they were talking about, as if this was not public knowledge. Well, many factors would contribute to that. In the Third Great Shinobi War, the three legendary Sanins, the White Fang, Sakamoto Hatake were assigned on the Stand and Carry front, whereas the Yellow Flash and the Red Hot Habanero, my mother, were assigned to the Kumo and Stone front lines. Because of this, you'd have been more likely to clash with Sakamoto and the Sanins than my mother. It would explain why you didn't know much about her. So she is his mother after all. But if that is the case, who's the father? Sasori thought. I see. I suppose you have a valid point, said Chiyo, as she realized that Naruto knew a lot about the past wars than the younger generation. Maybe that is what makes him different from other shinobis. He's neither a normal shinobi or a normal Jinchuriki. It's information about the past mistakes as well. I was not aware that the Uzumakis had a specific bloodline trait out of their strong chakra and high chakra capacity and longevity, and the sealing barrier knowledge, and Funjutsu as well. Yet, you're trying to imply that there's another distinguished bloodline. I'm curious, what is it? Oh, that's a secret, said Naruto. Why, you impotent little... Sasori growled out in irritation, as Chiyo realized he was also a real shinobi, known when to keep things to himself and not tell others. Really, said Naruto. Did you expect me to just give away the information like that? As he rolled his eyes. It doesn't matter. I will find it out myself. Enough talking, let's finish this. As the iron needles start to rise once again, Cho-Bachan is an useless old hag right now. All her puppets have been destroyed. She has no way of fighting, and you cannot defend her and fight and go on the offensive yourself. So you have to release that barrier of yours. So, Uzumaki Naruto, what will you do? You're the one who has issue about making people wait on you. I have no problem standing here all day, said Naruto. Then I'll make you move, said Sasori. As he launched needles towards Naruto, he waited to see Naruto release the chains from her own Chiyo so he could end her. But to his surprise, chains came from Naruto's stomach and deflect all of his needles, as Naruto did not even move one bit. As Naruto then smirked, "Gotcha," he said. The puppets are on Sasori. They all poof. To show that they were clones, Naruto transformed clones. All of them holding a Rasengan, 10 of them in total. As he was surrounded, Rasengan barrage! As they brought their attack down, a colossal explosion went off. Is it over, Naruto-chan? Chiyo asks. No, it's not. My clones have been destroyed, said Naruto. But how? Said Chiyo. Look, said Naruto, as there was a gigantic ball of iron sand with spikes shooting out all over it. As an eye formed above it that was made from iron sand. It is best for me to continue battling inside here. This child is full of surprises, Sasori thought, from in the protection of his iron ball. Who would have thought that he would have his clones transform into puppets? This is the third time I could have been dead if I didn't have my puppets at my side. Naruto-chan, said Chiyo, that is said to be one of the strongest protective techniques that was developed by the third Kazekage. I've seen this technique before. Gaara used it in shooting exams. Although this one seemed a lot stronger. Yes, it will be because of the properties that it's made up from. That is true, this shield was once able to withstand a Biju bomb from the Shikaku. So there's no way of you ever breaking this, said Sasori. Naruto-chan, how long can you keep this barrier up for? For a day, perhaps even more. Why, said Naruto. There is no force capable of breaking through that shield. The key is to inflict a fatal blow before he put the shields up. Once it comes up, there's no hope of winning. All hope is lost. But it seems that the same is true for your own barriers as well. This battle is now a stalemate. However, reinforcements from the Zen and Konoha should arrive at a later stage. I'm quite confident that you, as a Uzumaki and Jinchuriki, should be able to outlast Sasori. If we simply wait, reinforcements will arrive and Sasori will run out of chakra, said Chiyo. Sasori laughed. I wouldn't be so sure about that if I were you. He's right, Chobachan, said Naruto. Just look at it now, his shield, along with that eye, are floating in the air. If you come down to it, he will just float out of here. And because he's using the skies, no one will be able to track him down. True, but the Akatsuki is still hunting down the tail bases. His escape now will just give us more time to prepare, seeing that we know a lot of his strategies and his techniques. No, that's not good enough for me. Or have you forgotten that he also has intel on my abilities, said Naruto. The whole Akatsuki will know about my progress if I don't finish him now. Don't be stupid, boy. I already told you there is no force capable of breaching the third Sand Shield. Chobachan, is there anything more important that you still want to do, Naruto asks. What? What's gotten into you all of a sudden, she asks. I mean, if we defeat Sasori and we left this cave alive, is there anything important that you'd want to do? Answer the question before you say anything else, he demanded with a no-nonsense tone. Well, there is something important I want to do before I leave this earth, said Chiyo. And what is that, Naruto asks. There's a jutsu I created a long time ago. A kin jutsu that only I can perform. I have saved it for Sasori, just in case. But now all things considered, maybe it was not meant for him. Maybe it's meant for someone else. What kind of jutsu is this, said Naruto. It's a jutsu to revive one from the dead, costing the user their life. Sasori spoke. If what you say is true, that means you will die. Do you expect me to believe that a cynical old hag like yourself would sacrifice your life for anyone? Do you think your sacrifice will automatically wash away all the heinous that you have committed in your life? Give me a break, he said in a mocking tone. It doesn't matter whether my sins are washed away or not. That child deserves a second chance after everything he's been put through and the man that he's growing to be. You plan to revive Gaara, don't you, said Naruto. I was the one that started this all. I was the one that sealed Shikaku inside of him. I was the one that brought darkness into his life. I never helped him afterwards. Nor did I apologize for my actions. I acted like I had done nothing wrong. The least I can do right now is give him a chance to live a life without the darkness that Shikaku has spent over his life. As Naruto was caught in a dilemma, his plan was to kill Cho himself. That is why he asked her if there's anything that she wanted to do. If she had nothing left, he would kill her with a clear conscience. But if there was something, he would have tried to fulfill it for her after killing her. It would have been so easy too. She was inside of his barrier with no means of defending herself. He would have just crushed her with his chakra chains, and he could just write it off as Sasori crushing her with his iron sand. She knew too much for his liking about his chakra chain technique, and she knew that he knew about his mother and about the Uzumaki clan and the Kinjutsu. Not only that, she also knew that he had a bloodline limit, even if she didn't know exactly what it was. Also, he will have to release a bit more if you want to kill Sasori right now. Not to mention Chiyo was now slowing him down. She was holding him back. But now hearing what she wanted to do, he wasn't so sure about killing her. Gaara was one of his few genuine friends. Sure, he wasn't as close to him as he was now with Fu-chan, Yakumo-chan, and Neji, but still. Outside of those three, Gaara was a true friend to him. Not only that, Fu had passionately spoke that they involve the Jinchurikis in their plan, saying that New World Pool should be a place where they all could live their life in peace and happiness. And it was unlikely that any Jinchuriki would reject them after all they've been through. But Naruto rejected that plan. Two of those Jinchurikis were Kages, their people, and they had a lot of responsibilities. Those two were unlikely to leave their posts to follow. Some teenagers with big dreams. It doesn't matter how strong those teenagers were. And also some of the Jinjukis were related too. They're village leaders. Imagine what would happen if all of them came together. If the other nations were willing to form a truce to destroy the Uzumakis, imagine what they would think of the Jinjuki as. With all that power, they would be afraid. Band together and burn them to hell. That would be their thought. But still, if Fu found out that he could have at least saved Gaara, especially someone who he considered a friend, and he did nothing, she wouldn't forgive him. Because she would think that he would do the same to his own comrades if something were to happen. Besides, he didn't like the idea of Gaara dying when he could have done something to save him. And that wouldn't make him different from someone like Sasori or even Orochimaru. But now that he thought about it, he wasn't that far off from them now. It's a risk, but if she planned to revive Gaara, she would die anyway. And the others are busy with Deidara. And besides, he couldn't keep his skill level closed off for too long. And if things get too bad quickly, he would just leave Konoha immediately. Alright, I'm gonna help you escape while I hold Sasori off. Call for backup and do what you can to help Gaara. We will meet again in the afterlife. Though, excuse me for saying this, I doubt it will be anytime soon, said Naruto. You can't be serious. You expect me to leave you here to fight him alone? Let me help, said Shio. I don't mean to offend you, but tell me, what do you think that you can do to help me now? Take a good look at the situation that you're in for a moment. You're out of puppets and you don't have anything to counter against the third magnetic release. In fact, if it wasn't for my intervention, you would be dead right now. Sasori is now using you to create openings that attack me because he knew I will protect you. You've helped me a lot to get this far and you've been a great source of information. But you have to let go and let the other generation take over. The new generation. After all, isn't that the same reason why you decide to give your life for Gaara's? He's right, she said to herself. As she couldn't possibly help him right now. She would just hold him back. Because Sasori used every chance against him, using her. Damn it, she cursed. Alright, she said. Do what you have to do, and I will do what I have to do. But only if you promise me one thing. And what is that, said Naruto. Don't die. Promise me that you won't die. Promise me that you won't die until backup arrives. As a smile came on his face. Oh, trust me, I have no intention of dying. There's nothing of the sort to worry about. His smile made her smile. She didn't know why, but it felt like he was telling the truth. Like he would definitely not die. She realized how much this one individual changed her. She never used to care about foreign shinobis. Alright, Chobachan, I want you to start running when I release the barrier, said Naruto, as he created another clone right beside him. So he does have something else up his sleeve, Chiyo thought. As Naruto created Rasengan, as the clone pumped wind chakra into it. Wind style. Rasen Shuriken, he said as he held it up. He infused wind style into the Rasengan. It's quite powerful technique, probably a S-class without a doubt. But it's still not destructive and powerful then. The Shikaku Tail Beast Ball, I should be safe. As long as I remain in here, Sasori thought to himself. Naruto-chan, I don't know what you're thinking, but that jutsu it can't. As Naruto cut her off, this jutsu released millions of microscopic chakra needles. Upon contact, in other words, it doesn't matter how strong his shield is. The microscopic blade should be able to penetrate the spear and make contact with Sasori himself. Even if they don't do this, the shield will be dismantled, and there should be an opening for attack. Sasori was shocked on hearing that as he quickly formed hundreds of iron needles around Naruto for insurance. You have to take down the barrier to attack me with that jutsu. Unless you think you can dodge all of my needles and attack me at the same time, which is impossible, said Sasori. That's what you think, as Naruto pulled his arm back and threw it. What? Said Sasori in shock. To Sasori's shock, the shuriken passed through the barrier. But Naruto did not drop it, it just phased right through it. How? He thought that the barrier was an illusion, so he fired his chakra needles. But the barrier deflected them, but how? How did the Rasen Shuriken pass through it? He quickly ejected himself along the third Kazekage as Naruto dropped the barrier. A chain wrapped around Chiyo's ankle and literally threw her through the doorway out of the cave. As Naruto did it so fast, the chains receded back into him. The Shuriken had still not made contact yet. As he then muttered, swift release, shadowless flight. As Naruto and his clone shoot off at speeds that far supersedes Sasori's eyes. The Rasengan from him and his clone slammed into Sasori and the Kazekage puppet. The speed and power was so massively intense that both Sasori and his puppet was thrown through the wall of the cave, literally breaking through it, and dozens of trees behind it. Sasori had no idea what happened. All he remembered was he had escaped through his iron shield, and then something hit him, but he didn't know what it was, as he now found himself 100 meters away from the cave in a gigantic crater. The Rasen shuriken inside exploded, and the thing eviscerated the entire cave. As Naruto did all of that before the jutsu even made contact and exploded, his swift release was on a completely other level. As Naruto paused in shock, he slowly turned his head to see Sasori and his puppet. Sasori's cloak had been destroyed. Cracks over his body. As those cracks menged together, as Naruto wanted to smash his head in the wall, he had realized that there was a thin layer of chalk around their body, but he didn't pay attention. He covered his and the Kazekage body with iron sand, just like what Gaara did back then, covering his body for protection, as that was the sand reforming. Uzumaki Naruto, you have done well to survive against me this long. The only person that ever pushed me this far was Leader Sama. Sasori's smart though, as Naruto was a close-range fighter. Now that you're outside the cave, he wouldn't be able to touch him. Leader? Who is your leader exactly? Unless you force him out of me, you won't get a single answer out of me, said Sasori. What a rather cocky thing to say. Is it because you're flying that you think that you're safe from me, said Naruto. Save your words. They are meaningless right now. This fight is coming to an end, said Sasori. Secret art. Chakra, suppressing chains, said Naruto. The moment he said that, a seal appeared on the Kazekage where he had hit it with the Rasengan, as it started to glow until chains exploded out of it and wrapped around the Kazekage tight. Sasori's sand armor collapsed instantaneously because Naruto chakra chains suppressed all chakra, and his puppet threads no longer controlled the third Kazekage. So all the iron sand around his body and all the iron sand of Vicente, it all fell down. As Sasori started to plummet as well, the cloud of iron sand no longer keeping him in mid-air. As Sasori released projectiles from his back that started to spin as he kept him in mid-air, but Naruto jumped. He caught the Kazekage puppet and sealed it away. He sealed away the Kazekage? Thought Sasori, as he was not really sure what to make of the blonde Uzumaki actions. Seeing the look on his face, Naruto decided to explain. Earlier, I disrespect your art by calling you an old man that like to play with dolls. I would like to take that back. No, in fact, I would like to apologize for that. Your art is rather amazing and also dangerous. Actually, so far you're the most powerful opponent I've ever faced, said Naruto. A lot stronger than all the others in the past. What does it have to do with you sealing away my prized Kazekage puppet? Sasori asks. I want to study this technique of yours, this human puppet. It will be a great technique to add to the Uzumaki clan archive, said Naruto. I thought so, your words. They were sincere after all. What do you mean, said Naruto. You praised me as the strongest opponent that you faced so far. And you claim that you're gonna study my art. As if you've already won this fight. The fact that you think that you will live long enough to examine their puppet body prove that you are not really that smart. Oh, I see what you mean. But you have to forgive me because not only have you lost your trump card, but there's nothing that you can do to defeat me, said Naruto. Your one weakness is right there. As Naruto pointed toward his heart. The sealant heart. We shall see about that, Uzumaki Naruto. Sasori was surprised though, as he never thought that he would, well, admire an art that mixed with the dead. Again and again, he surprised him. He wanted to kill me, but he didn't want to destroy the Kazekage puppet. All this time, he kept on explaining his techniques because he wanted me to move the Kazekage puppet out of the way, knowing that my fear of it getting destroyed. This child. At the time I thought it was his inexperience that made him give away all that important information, but no. He just wanted to make sure that the puppet was alright. But no more. Sasori released 2 canisters. Secret puppet art. Water jet blasters. As Naruto moved, swift release, flash step technique, he said, the water jets came down and demolished the earth. The amount of power behind them as they ripped apart everything. Sasori pressed the seal as 6 more arms came out of his body, and he released a water jet from each of them. But to his shock, Sasori had created this technique to face off against Minato no Mikaze, Thunder God technique, so that he could counter from all areas, and yet, how was this even possible? It was like Naruto appeared everywhere at the same time. Hundreds of him were all over the battlefield. They were not clones. Was he simply moving that fast, or was it an illusion? The battle proceeded like this for the next 25 minutes, Sasori hoping that Naruto would slow down, but yet he did not. He just kept on moving, pure after images, as he came to a stop. Was that it? Was that your ultimate? Defense jutsu, said Naruto. No, I have another one. But it would be pointless against your chain barrier. So you will surrender and allow me to kill you, said Naruto. No. I still have enough chakra to fly out of here safely. I'll retreat for now and warn the others about you. I can tell that you're still not showing me all that you can do. The leader will love to hear about your new developments. Perhaps send someone with more diverse abilities come after you. Or maybe, just maybe, he'll come for you himself. Now that would be amusing to watch. That would be the smart thing to do, but I'm sorry. I cannot allow you to do that, said Naruto, as Sasori decided to fly away until something stick out of his heart box. A spear of ice. Forgive me, but I cannot allow any harm to come to Naruto-kun. This is the end of the line for you, Sasori said. Sasori heard a soft voice behind him. He turned, as the features of this child surprised him. You're Momoka Yuki Haku, aren't you? Apprentice of Zabuza. But you're supposed to be dead! Standing there was indeed Haku. The boy looked no older than 15 years old. Half of his body was coming through a mirror, as he had another ice spear in his arm. Naruto-kun was concerned and worried about getting captured by you and your friends, so he summoned me to watch a battle. Just in case. Of course I accepted. He's a very precious person to me after all. Wait, did you say you were summoned? Said Sasori, as he snapped his head back to Naruto and back toward Haku. You're gonna die anyway, so I suppose there's no problem telling you. He summoned me using the Edo Tensei. You're not the only one that has dabbled in the power of the deceased. Sasori couldn't believe what he was hearing, as he turned to see Naruto walking towards him, his face calm as ever, as Sasori glanced down towards his heart canister, as the ice spear had pierced directly through it. As he started to drop, he was done. But that didn't mean that Naruto was done with him, as Naruto walked directly towards him. But guys, if you subscribe right here, if you want things important, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notification to be posted. But I'm hoping to see you guys soon. Peace.